partners to ensure that that students have access to information and strong resources around sexual violence prevention, and then certainly a caring response when issues occur. Just highlighting briefly a number of the trainings we work with, the health promotion and wellness services on campus to ensure that all new and incoming students, including transfer students, receive online training around sexual violence prevention. We cover this to resources and support. And so really, it's really important to us that people know that we're here as a resource, and that people come to us if concerns arise, and certainly even before something arises, if someone has a question about how to get engaged in some of those prevention efforts, or to learn more about prevention, we can certainly help people access that information. And so I'm just, as I'm talking, seeing questions. So a specific question about if someone does experience an incident, who do they go to first? It's really up to them. We, within the Title IX office, we will work with the police, but we don't require that individuals report to the police that in order to receive a response. So our process is separate and distinct from the criminal process. So we have an internal process where the most severe outcome from our process would be a suspension or expulsion. So our really is just looking at kind of continued relationship with the university. If they want to report to the police to initiate a criminal investigation, we can help them do that, and certainly get them in contact. And then, if they do report to the police and want to share information with us, we do work closely with our campus police partners to minimize the impact and the number of times students have to tell their stories. But that's one of the kind of early conversations we would have. So, simple answer is it really doesn't matter who they go to first. It's whoever they're most comfortable going to, that we will either way try to make sure that they get in contact with the offices that they want to be in contact with. And with that, I think that mostly covers what I have, unless people have additional questions. I always emphasize that our Title IX website has a whole bunch of information about resources, and people should never hesitate to reach out to us if they have questions.
I'm just going to circle back in terms of the last comment, in terms of Jane Squibb's question about the specific procedures if student has been exposed to COVID-19 and live on campus. I did walk through that in terms of our quarantine procedures, in terms of the meals being delivered and the online classes. If there is a more specific question, feel free to ask that here, as well as in terms of connecting with University Housing, which I believe is also a group that you will be meeting with as well. Again, this question was specific. Oh, there is another question. I think, is there an app or alert parents can sign up for that give info about weather or other emergencies on campus? Oh, okay.
I can chime in on that. Yeah. So we talked earlier about the Rave Guardian app. That's a safety app. It's a 24/7 connectivity to the police department, but anyone can download that app. With the mass notification system or safe alert system, the student is able to add 2 additional telephone numbers to their actual account. We just want to make sure that they have their number in there as the primary, but you can get 2 additional telephone numbers so mom and dad or a loved one can also be notified of that emergency. That kind of answers your question.
And in follow-up, we do have specific isolation and quarantine spaces. And we'll continue in catering, we'll continue to work with the student. There is a menu that they order from in terms of meals being delivered. And so there is a system. In terms of a student has been vaccinated, will that need to be uploaded? Absolutely. So I can look for the link in terms of that. That's on our COVID-19 website. And there is no time like the present. If your student has a UWM email address, now would be the time to upload their vaccine card or their immunization registry information so that we have that on file. So if we run out of time, I will also ask the orientation leaders to provide that directly as well. So that's a great question and very proactive. Thanks, Melissa, for putting that website in.
Hi all. In the beginning, there was a quick question about the FERPA and a student being able to sign a release to have their information shared with their parents and families. And so that once the student puts it in their account, it stays there unless the student undoes that. I should let you know, though, that every office really takes privacy seriously. And so if you haven't engaged in the office, if the unit hasn't engaged with your student in the past and you call them, they may have access to that pause website to check to see if their privacy is shared. There are also staff, because we hold privacy so seriously, there are staff that do not have access to that information, and so they may ask you or that student. So there might be a little bit of a delay, but in general, that student sets their privacy settings. They have the ability to lift it. The FERPA waiver in general expires after 1 full year. And so if a student does want to keep that consistent, they would have to update that each year, but they would not have to do that each semester. And so just be mindful that at any time you want to advocate on behalf of your student, you're probably going to want to check in with that student and make sure that their account is up to date.
And we're getting a couple of other questions related to COVID. So let me try to knock those out. So we will not have on file if the student is not vaccinated. Again, vaccinations are not mandatory on campus. We ask that people upload their vaccine card voluntarily so that in the situation where there is case management that needs to occur, if there is continued regular testing on campus, there's regular testing on campus this summer. We have not yet determined in the fall if there will be required testing for students and faculty and staff. So we do not have the information in place for every single individual on campus. It is voluntary, but recommended that individuals that are vaccinated submit their information. We don't assume that students are not vaccinated if they haven't submitted that information. And we will continue in terms of surveying our students, faculty, and staff as well. In terms of a HIPAA letter on file, there is a consent that can be filled out related to confidentiality specifically, and that is in a student's portal. And I would encourage individuals, if you have additional specific COVID-19, specifically if somebody with a specific condition, that you contact the health center. But there is not, in terms of a student with a specific condition, again, we would recommend that everybody follows the general guidance in terms of vaccination. And that they contact their healthcare provider if they have questions related to this. The portal that the consent is listed, that is their, that is once somebody makes an appointment and signs up with the health center, that's within their medical record portal. There's also some information on our website that also has consent forms as well.
I also was scrolling back up to the chat to see if any questions were missed, and I saw a question regarding safety and how safe the campus was in the surrounding streets at night, and if there's a lot of criminality inside the campus.
So again, when I talk about safety, I always tell, especially people who aren't familiar with the Milwaukee area, wear your safety hat no matter where you're at. If you're in Milwaukee or you're in the Bahamas, safety is still primary. So I've been here 27 years, and some of the same issues have kind of been consistent, where we have quality of life issues in and around our neighborhoods, and that usually deals with drugs and or alcohol, mostly alcohol, underage drinking. And then the primary incidents that we have on campus is usually thefts. And so, and it's not so much people from outside coming onto campus, still it's people own peers. So we're telling students make sure that they're safeguarding their property at all times. That means, you know, locking your housing unit when you're leaving housing, or if you have a bike, make sure that you invest into a kryptonite type box. All of our academic buildings have bike racks. Make sure you're securing it through the frame of the bike as well as the front tire. Make sure you're recording serial numbers to expensive items like your laptop or a television, things like that, so that if it's actually lost or stolen, you can actually give that information to us and we're able to track it if it's turned in somewhere or somebody tries to resell it. As far as locations, I always tell people this is actually one of the safest campuses in the UW system, and that's because of our location. If you ever had a chance to tour the actual campus, you'll see that we have a lot of real estate and nice homes and things that run up and down our lakefront. So for the most part, again, this is one of the safest campuses that we have. Those are two of the primary issues that we deal with. It's kind of ongoing. And so we always encourage the students to make sure that they are always aware of their surroundings, making sure that they take advantages of the boss escort vans, contacting the police department if they need a personal safety escort, downloading that rave guarding, all that kind of goes into making sure that the person is safe and that they're successful while they're here at UWM. That kind of answers your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Officer Rafferty shared. I walk to work every day. So does our chancellor, our provost bikes in, our dean of students walks in, our Title IX coordinator will walk in as well. And so we're a part of this community with the students. Having said that, we never want to give any students the illusion of safety, because students inevitably, especially if they live off campus, they leave their doors open so their friends can walk in. Please tell them not to do this. Please make sure that they're texting each other and that they're locking their doors. Theft is one of our, like of all the complaints we get, it's theft. And a lot of students have this illusion of safety, and that's when they fall victim of crimes. Also, make sure that they're writing down all of their serial numbers and taking photos of their belongings. That will help if they do get their items stolen.
Yes, and then also as speaking as a student here on campus, I've always felt safe, and just like anywhere I always go, I always like to use kind of common sense. You know, I always keep my belongings on me, use the buddy system as much as possible, and don't go flaunting around any expensive items that I might have, because that might just draw attention. And I would do that anywhere I go, just not Milwaukee, but also my hometown, vacation, anywhere. So I've always felt relatively safe on campus, and especially with all the resources we have. The Rave Guardian app that we mentioned a lot has been an incredible useful resource here on campus. So I haven't had like a scary encounter yet, because I've always felt safe. So that's just my little 2 cents. And I also like to very much thank you to all of our presenters for sharing all that awesome information and resources and taking us through that awesome presentation, and also for all of our participants who joined us today for the session and asked amazing questions, because that's always great to see. It is 9:50, so we are going to wrap up. But once again, if you have any questions, feel free to email any one of our presenters here today, and they'll be more than happy to answer any more questions that you have. But our next session that we have is, let me double check so I don't forget. It's academic success here at UWM. So if you are interested in that session, feel free to join us. But other than that, thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday morning. No, not Monday morning, Friday morning. Wow. It's been a long week.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Matthew, I can double check to see if I can send you a copy of the chat notes. If you can drop your email in the chat so I can follow up with you, that would be great. Okay, I will double check to see if I can send those to you via email. All right. Once again, thank you all so much for joining the session. And I'll see you all in next one. Have a wonderful day.